Eric, you all right, mate? You've
You hear me?
muted. Yeah, I can hear you, mate. Can you hear me all right?
Check again, or did I just mute myself?
No, I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, nice one, mate. How you doing?
Very good, very good. Nice to talk to you again.
You too, mate. Are you ready for the onslaught of questions, Eric? Are you ready to answer?
I'm ready to answer. I don't know if I can't see while I'm here though, so I'm kind of blind. You'll have to field the questions for me.
That's I'll relay them. You know.
I had to download Chrome Special for you too. I already had Opera and Internet Explorer and Firefox, and none of them worked for the Hangout link. So
You need special tools to come into the shed, Eric. You know.
I see that. I see that.
So,
And I did practice my yoga this morning. I didn't have my Earl Grey though.
Well, you're not enlightened properly then. So I take it Eddie's going to be joining. Did you send him the link?
I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, and he said, "Hell yeah, let's do it." And I just sent him the link just now. So as far as I know, he's coming. Yeah, we'll see.
Cool.
I mean, I don't know what he's using to access it. If he's listening, you may have to try several different methods to get in. Internet Explorer didn't seem to work, even though it said it should. Chrome was what worked for me. Opera worked last time. This time it said there's some cookies problem. Anyhow, here now.
Excellent. So how are you, mate? What's been happening?
Good.
How are you seeing the landscape?
Yeah, I've been trying to spend some time off YouTube trying to get some alternatives since they outright banned me, of course, back in December, and then they disabled my channel with a couple strikes a month or so ago. So I got on BitTube, BitChute, Reel.video, the other ones, and so some other social networking sites like MeWe, Gab, Steemit. I had DTube, that's the other one. So I'm just trying to put all my videos on all those other video sharing sites. Some of them, I guess, are on the blockchain, which I don't understand fully, but it's supposed to mean that it's like unable to be censored or deleted or taken down off the internet in any way.
Yeah.
So on that and Minds and some other kind of like Facebook alternatives that don't seem to censor.
Right.
So yeah, there seems to be a more awakened crew on those sites.
I know that there seems to be a lot of censoring, but I don't know if it's just selective. I don't know what your view is on some of this, because I see a lot of real people who get censored, and there's a lot of other characters who just don't get censored. And I don't think it's heading towards a total shutdown. I think anybody with any kind of discernment can see that this is spreading far and wide. There's no way that this is going to be put back in the box by censoring the likes of you and me, and so it always fuels my notion that I had from the beginning, that it's some sort of controlled rollout, and they've got certain characters, celebrity type, mentality, and trying to maintain that as they work and try and feel an unraveling and maybe what direction they can go. I don't know if you see the same. I don't know if...
Yeah, I mean, since I, November 2014, if you look at Google Trends, that was when I put out my, the first Flat Earth book written in like 50 years, first pro Flat Earth book, and my Flat Earth conspiracy documentary, and all my interviews started. And shortly after that is when I would say the controlled rollout started. I mean, I'm not controlled. I've been looking into Flat Earth for years before that. My awakening was rather slow, though I have posted about it since, like I said, in 2008, I had Charles Johnson in my first book. In 2009, I sent a message to Alex Jones. I sent him Robotham's book even, which prompted him to call me a flat earther, even though I wasn't at the time. So anyway, the word psyop or controlled rollout, I somewhat have a problem with it, because I really do feel that it wasn't, a controlled rollout or a psyop, because the real kind of genuine grassroots explosion that happened at that time came from myself and other, IFers and other genuine people at the time. And then shortly after that, that's when I would absolutely agree that, like you said, these kind of actors, they're like, I mean, money grubbers, actors, I don't know what to call them, fake plastic people who clearly don't have truth, and exposing the truth and helping humanity as their first goal, but rather, like I said, money or some other
Yeah.
ends that they're working towards.
So you think there's a kind of a reaction to the action then, that they see that grassroots taking effect and people are starting to spread it through word of mouth, and then maybe jumping on it and trying to coerce and steer it or maintain a certain amount of attention.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was if I remember it, it was 6 weeks after that a Mr. Sergeant came out, and ever since, at that time he was nobody knew Mr. Sergeant, and when he came out, he just had the smell of disinformation agent, and having already studied Charles Johnson and Leo Ferrari and what happened with the original IFERS and the Flat Earth Society, and how the original, genuine guy came out with the information, and then shortly after, the controlled opposition comes in with this satirical, comedic twist to it, and then, lo and behold, after I came out, starting with Sargent and many other people since him, this crew, the potato crew, call it what you want, of clowns that have come out and done exactly that, kind of turned flat Earth into this circus of, Christianity, piss drinking, Australia doesn't exist, what's your favorite color, and, my Frisbee model, and neon hats with blinking lights, and glasses with no
Yeah.
only rims.
That's always been my problem. I'm sure you know my stance, Eric, when we're talking, shills and the accusations that fly about. For me, this topic's about objectivity. It's about the objective world. And that's where I discern, that's where I see, well, maybe some people are just at a level where that's the level of information they're offering. And I'm sure there's other people who are there deliberately to muddy the waters. But I just want to speak to this whole notion of show and controlled and whatever else. For me, I'm looking at the content of these people rather than, how they dress or, what their history may be or whatever. I know other people have different opinions of that, but I'm looking purely at the content, because that tells me, whether they've got some ulterior motive or what their plan may be. So that's purely where I focus. I don't know.
Absolutely. Sure. No, I was just kind of having a laugh there, but honestly, on IFERS, we do keep meticulous track of any lies and or disinformation that are spouted by these various people. So while I was critiquing some of their superficial aspects, there's plenty of people in the community, if you want to call it that, who are seemingly less than genuine, as they've said lies about myself and other people, and are spouting disinformation such as the moon being a hologram, or gravity being molecular magnetism, or the sun not heating the earth but it being heated by unknown processes underneath, or other such claims that these figures have made. So and that's similar to Leo Ferrari back in the day. That was par for the course with him. He was also making claims that no genuine flat earther made, to turn it on its head like that. So when people are hearing it for the first time, they hear it with a satirical, slant to it. And so they're not seeing a genuine person trying to expose the truth. They see someone with a tongue-in-cheek attitude, looking like he's just trying to get a laugh. Mark, Patricia, whoever, I mean, it's really just I gotta stop naming names. You're good about you're really good about speaking to the personality types, the behavior of the controlled opposition, without necessarily pointing fingers at it, because everybody does actually need to figure this out for themselves. I shouldn't be naming names and making it that easy for everyone. Honestly, you should actually check out all these people, see for yourself in the flat earth community, and figure out for yourself, who you think is, telling the truth and not.
And even at that, it doesn't really matter to me, as well, from my point of view. But I don't really care about these people because my mind's mine and I own that. And that's what I always encourage everybody else. Own your own mind. Regardless of who the internet celebrities or who your preferred personality is, it's by the by. It's the information that's important to you, and that's what we have to use. So that's where your discernment comes in. And again, I think there's a bit of both. There's people who I see deliberately muddying the waters, and I see people who just want to be relevant, that want to be guru type, messiah type complexes and offer up new information or what they think's new information, and they put it out there, and it really doesn't do anything of service, especially when you're tying it to the particular topic that I'm interested in. So, there's a lot of people that will say, you represent a particular map and model. Eric, what have you got to say about that? Because, do you use a particular map or model as just a reference, something as a visual for people to look at and to make certain points, or are you subscribed to, the circular EE? I don't know. I'll let you speak for yourself.
Right. No, like you said, I just use it as a reference. We don't, as you say it best yourself, that we don't know the dimensions, the size of the Earth. We don't know how it terminates, if it terminates, whether it's an infinite plane, if there's a barrier, an edge, as they like to jest. We don't know. And that's just, people want something to look at. And it is, as I said in my children's book, it's, the grandpa and the kid, they go to like that fountain that they have in Australia at the Darling Park. I think it's in Sydney. It's a flat Earth map, whatever you want to call it, the AE standard model, and there's water enclosed in a circle, and all of the continents are in there protruding up from it. Yeah. And so actually, that is a working model showing all of the continents. It's a map. They like to say, you don't have a model, you don't have a working model. Well, it's not to say that we know the full dimensions or that this is a perfect map, but that is a working model compared to the globe, which is their working model, which doesn't work. You take a globe and you pour water on it, and it falls right down into that fountain below. Yeah. So, I mean, if you do want to compare models, then, the flat water model with Earth sticking up out of the water is how it works, out of level water. Exactly. But the actual dimensions, how the ice terminates, I've never claimed to know that. And like you said, I only use that as a reference. Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying, how quick people can just jump to assumption and then start labeling, just because of certain things used as a reference. But you're right in regards to that particular thing, and I've made that point myself. Just by using a basin with some bricks and rock and dirt and water, there's a scaled representation of a possibility, is what I would say to people. Now, the globe can't offer the same, and when we're talking about models anyway, I'm of the stance that a model's irrelevant because I don't live on a model. I live in the real world, and it's the real world that I want to establish. So when people bring these concepts, i.e. models, I'm like, I'm not interested. That's, how are you verifying or falsifying any of these postulations? I could bring a pyramid and say, oh, we live in a fucking pyramid, there's a model. I mean, it's irrelevant, So people get caught up in these things. And I just wanted to highlight that and address it because I know that I've seen you in the chat boxes saying about the exploration, but yet you'll still have people saying, Eric's a proponent of the EE map model and blah, blah, blah. And obviously it's not true, No, you got it. And you're right about, we need to bring it back to reality instead of trying to prop up some sort of model. They keep sending me, for instance, the flat Earth debunked by the Discovery Channel laser experiment. You see that one? Firstly, there's several laser experiments that have been done and they don't show any curvature. So funny how the Discovery Channel one shows curvature. They clearly didn't level the laser, and they even held it, I don't know if you noticed, at a mesonically significant 33 inches above the water, that little clip. But when people send it to me and they're so convinced by the laser, I'm always thinking of what you say, which makes perfect sense, is that the actual element of water, the thing over which you're doing the experiment, is the universal leveling tool used for millennia. And then you're you're using this newfangled technology that we just came out with to try and prove whether water is level. Like that's even an important experiment to do. It's like, no, just the water's level.
Exactly. It's a reoccurring phenomenon. It's a reoccurring natural phenomenon that everybody experiences. The surface of all bodies are standing water, equilibrate, you know, they're level, it's an even surface everywhere. Why do we need an experiment or devise some instrumentation to try and prove that? It's just ludicrous. I think for me it's pushed up.
You leveled the laser to make sure that it was parallel to the water. You had to use a water level.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's it, you know. What's parallel on a globe? I mean, it doesn't exist. It's freaking ridiculous, you know. me and Gav spoke about this before and spoke at that, you know, parallel would have to come from a natural observation like that. You know, it doesn't matter if there's a body of water at an elevation and a body of water at a lower elevation, you can guarantee that those two, the surface of those two, are parallel with each other, regardless of altitude, you know.
Okay. So, they just play word and mind games after that, and they add a T and turn plane into a planet. They take level and to make it the level on a ball. They take the horizontal horizon and tell you it's curved. Language had it right in the first place, and then they tried messing with it. Now everything's global.
Yeah, exactly.
Globe.
I know.
No more worldwide. No more Earth.
No.
It's all global.
That's one I say to people all the time. I remember that it used to be worldwide, all across the world, and then I can't pinpoint when this global everything started to kick in, and I see it continually now with certain sport channels like boxing and football. It's global events and global boxing, and you know, it's this mantra, you know, part of the religious mantras. Global. It's everywhere, you know.
Someone mentioned to me, I don't know if this is a fact or not, but that they thought GPS started out as geo-positioning system and then somehow morphed into global positioning system. Don't know if that's true or not, but whether that was or not, it does seem that in colloquial usage, the word globe and global has just skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And like you said, across the world or worldwide, especially in like news, I think it's scripted. The news media, you know, how they have all these scripted things, but they put the globe right in there.
Exactly. It certainly seems that way. There's an upping.
Well, it's right, it's spinning in the friggin' lower right hand corner of every news program anyway. So it's not far fetched to think that it would be put in the what they're talking about.
Hi, Eric. It's been a while.
Hey, Gav, how you doing?
Since the last time, was it? 2 years ago, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you? Good.
Yeah, very good.
How's Thailand? Still warm and sticky?
It's been raining quite a bit lately, actually, but still, it's a hot rain.
I've been out in that part of the world quite often last year, and I always thought maybe I should just take a hitch over the last couple of hours flight to meet up, but it never got round to it. But
you know,
they definitely seem to be fighting tooth and nail, both to keep the Flat Earth Awakening contained, as well as ramping up the globe programming, as we were talking. I definitely don't think they're going to put their hands up and say, okay, you got us. I think it's going to be the opposite for quite a while. But the encouraging thing is, like Gab said, is in just 3 or 4 years now, even without any help from any genuine mainstream media attention, it's gone from, you know, the most taboo subject ever, really. I mean, nothing was more taboo than honestly trying to bring up the conversation that you think the Earth is flat back, 5 years ago, to now the majority have heard that this is an actual discussion that modern people are having, and a bunch of people believe it, that the Earth is flat. So that's an amazing word of mouth campaign, that has happened in just these few years. I think everybody there's a lot of people that have contacted me saying that right now apparently we're in a slump. Did you know that, Del? We're in a rut here in Flat Earth, and they've been questioning my passion, my endurance, a bunch of things like that. If I don't put out at least one YouTube video per week or something, it's like Flat Earth is dying. if I
it's one.
put my energy anywhere else.
Yeah.
But no, it's not at all. And the way it's morphed from, different, grassroots street activism, different sites on the internet, and the evolution of, a lot of the methods you've employed yourself. I'm thinking again of like 00 Scientist, or your recent really brilliant one with the 100-pound water bottle challenge. It's one of my favorite videos of activism I've ever seen. It's just so effective to challenge somebody to bend water in front of you, and have just like you say, it's a great what's the word? Not indirect method, because if you just say flat Earth and you just, people turn off. It's that trigger that's been implanted in them.
Trying to avoid taking that kind of upper hand and saying, you've been lied to and here I am to save you, and blah, blah, blah. It's trying to play all that continually, because people's egos and pride just get in the way of that.
Right. When you try to bring this up with people, you shouldn't bring it up in that way. You should bring it up in a way that you're just asking questions to the point that the person you're bringing the topic up to is unsure of where you're leading them. If they know right away you're leading them to, oh, you're one of these flat Earth guys, you probably already lost them. The cognitive dissonance or whatever kicks in, the ego kicks in, and they're just going to start fighting you instead. But if you can speak around it and ask questions and get them, suspicious and skeptical, that's the way to do it.
See, that method did work, and just like Gaff had said, it's new at the point though. Recently in the last kind of 6 months, even when I'm out in the street and you trying the indirect approach, you can see people are already preempting the way you're bringing the questions. They're already going, I know where you're going, this is about flat Earth, and blah, blah. I'm like, fucking hell, you're robbing me of my place here. I'm trying to lead you to a place and you're preempting it. Well, I've not got anywhere to go. But just going back to that, talking about this awareness level. Yeah.
And the more they're promoting the globe as a reaction to this, I'm only seeing that helping us even more, because they're putting out more and more ridiculous stuff, like this new thing with Neil Tyson and Stephen Colbert on the new Mars rover. Did you see that clip? It's absolutely ridiculous. This huge Mars rover thing they've got.
I seen that. The Batmobile.
And it is. It's like a fucking Batmobile. And so people, flat earthers and globies alike are sending this thing around, and it's just what's great is the conversation, because the more they ramp up the globe conversation, the more we're able to pick holes in it, and the more they're making mistakes like this. So actually, all their propaganda is just making the conversation louder. It's not like you don't, once you go flat, you don't go back, as we were saying. So it's not going to work on people that have figured it out.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to say is that sometimes I really do think that ridicule, especially if you are receiving it from the other person, is a very effective method of short-term activism. And what I mean is, like, if it's like on the internet, or if it's with someone that you're only going to be able to speak to for a few minutes, instead of letting them just berate you and you be the stupid flat earther and you're ridiculous and just take it, turn it right back on them. I mean, if you have done the research to the point that you are confident, as you should be, that you are not in motion and the earth is not curving, and you can defend that, to a T, then, don't stand or don't back down to that kind of talk. Throw it right back at them. They're the ones believing in absolute nonsense. It's freaking ridiculous. So you should absolutely not be afraid to ridicule, because I get it from a lot of people, and a lot of people, they get berated by their friends and their family, and then they'll send me messages. I feel bad for them, but if instead of just taking it, you just throw it right back at them, and in a playful way, not in a malignant way or whatever you want to call it, but in a playful manner, smiling, ridicule their stupid belief, because it's freaking stupid. So don't give it. That's what Neil Tyson's taken that that line apparently now. First he accepted the debate, and now he's saying that he doesn't discuss flat Earth. He doesn't debate flat Earth. It's below him. Well, the globe's below me too, to be honest. It's fucking stupid. I don't know why we'd even have to talk about it. I think if that thing, that discussion ever happened, it would be so ridiculous. I can't imagine what would happen. I don't know if you'd be able to call it a debate or a discussion. It would probably be, as we're saying, it would be both of us ridiculing each other in a sarcastic, logical way. Well, one of us would be logical. I don't think he'd be able to come up with anything logical for his.
But
yeah,
brutal honesty and truth are usually the best comedians. It doesn't matter where you see it. So.
Exactly.
That's the funniest comedians, or the funniest jokes are funny because they're true, and they're true in a way that isn't often expressed or isn't often thought of. It's the funniest things are things that you've maybe subconsciously thought yourself but haven't really grasped, and then a comedian has put them together perfectly in a way that just
that's
jiu-jitsu with palm strikes, keeping them honest.
Yes, you paying attention.
Yeah, man, good stuff. I like it.
How's
Great.
How's everything? You guys all you guys are still flat, obviously, and if you guys have any doubt about me, I'm forever flat. I'll never go back.
Good. You just need to keep speaking to these friends and associates of yours, Eddie. Keep on them, keep giving them stick, ridicule them, just as we were talking about a couple of minutes ago.
So
yeah,
but for the people, curved.
Yeah, for the people.
Yeah, we don't need a home run proof, because you just look at the horizon, look at water, feel the fact that you're not moving. So the globe, the spinning, tilting, wobbling, hurtling around the sun, spinning around the galaxy, shooting off through the universe, that's the absurd claim that needs to be proven.
Yeah.
The fact that you're sitting still on a motionless level plane is obvious.
Yeah.
It's not like we don't need infrared or lasers or anything. That's the base.
Exactly.
Starting point.
Something else. That's it.
People like to say, where's the picture of your flat Earth? Where's any picture of anything but a flat Earth? I've never understood that question.
Exactly.
Every picture show flat Earth?
What they mean, Eric, is part of their assumption that they assume that you can get high enough to see the full thing, because
the whole thing. They're gonna see a space pizza or something.
Globe, so they're carrying that forward. Well, I can see the globe, so show me the flat. I mean, it's just retarded, illogical nonsense.
It's incredible how
So, Elisa Hawk there?
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to say that. Elisa, are you here? Are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Good. Cheers for joining us.
Hey, Gav. Hey, Eddie. Hey, Eric. So good to see you all together.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Pretty much always despised him. But the very first thing I saw of him doing stand-up, that was eye-opening for me when he was saying, picture or painting. And so I want to know, at first, did you start up a bit of a friendship with math, Eric? And then were you disappointed? My point is that a lot of these people that have shown themselves over time to not be genuine have got great content. And so, they are allowed to put out some great content, and then, after a few months or a half a year or whatever, they can start slipping in the disinfo. Yeah. So by that time you're following them and you look like an idiot too. How did you react, Eric, when you started to realize, oh, fuck, all these people might not be genuine like me or whatever, if you are,
Yeah, well, I mean, conspiracy timeline has been like that because I started out with Alex Jones and David Icke and all the similar to yourself, actually. So, I mean, it's been a series of finding, heroes and having them knocked down. So many people that are propped up in this kind of truther community, whatever you call it, are less than genuine, and they happen to be the most popular ones. So you actually have to go through. That's why they call them gatekeepers. You have to go through them before you get to the place that they're keeping. And so, yeah, not to get into personalities or anything, I would say that with Math, or even with maybe the Morgile, the other people, content, especially now with Math Powerland, I don't see any content of value coming out of him. At the beginning, there was some good stuff, just like you said, and I agree. I did enjoy some of this. I mean, he used to actually talk about flat Earth, evidences and things like that. Whereas nowadays, I don't hear much of that coming from his channel. But yeah, they're not really talk about personalities, and I think Del said it best. In this whole thing, you just got to look at the content, and by looking at what they're saying and what they're not saying, people can and should discern for themselves what they think. And so it doesn't really matter what I think of Math Powerland or the Morgile or any of these people. What really matters is what you, Elisa, and you, the listener, thinks of them, having done their own research and figured it out for themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we were actually talking about that earlier, Elisa, about how it was just like Leo Ferrari and Charles Johnson, the original IFers, and then the Flat Earth Society coming right on its heels with their satirical, disingenuous brand of disinformation to muddy the waters. And so I was actually expecting it, and it was, it came just as planned within like 6 weeks after putting all my information out in November 2014. So I wasn't surprised or I didn't feel hurt or anything. It was actually kind of humorous for me because I expected it, and there it was with its fluorescent hat and neon blue glasses and all its other trimmings.
It probably took you like 6 months to call it, or a year to call it, did it? I can't remember.
Well, I mean, with certain people, yeah, certain people are able to fool me for a while, but others I'm able to see right from the get-go. For example, Math Powerland, I followed him for a while, whereas Mark Sargent, I never was really fooled by him because he started spouting disinformation and lies about me personally right away. So, they're only able to fool you as long as they stick with the facts. And once they go off of them, that's when you can see who's genuine and who's not.
It was fascinating. I mean, you did a really good job in a really short time.
That was
it's 4 minutes.
Is it Mary at sea level or Marilyn at sea level? It's one of the two.
Yeah, I think
Marilyn.
Not Mary. I think
Marilyn Spirit Level Teed, sir. Her name, Marilyn Teed. Yeah, she did an excellent job, and that's a great idea. Just like Del said, to get in there with the schools and with the other parents and the teachers. And one trend I noticed is people looking for groups all the time. They're trying to find some group to join or some group identity or some group action to be taken. Whereas I see the actual wanting for that as a lack of activism in itself. Exactly. Just the fact that you're looking for some group or you're looking for some big home run thing to do tells me that you're probably not stopping and talking to every person that you meet and everyone in your family, all your friends, the parents, the teachers, all this stuff. You're probably not doing that if you're thinking like, I want to find some group that's really taking action about the flat earth and I want to join that. Even if you did do that, you're probably doing less good than you would be doing if you just took individual action of your own accord in whatever way works for you to spread this message. And there's so many different direct and indirect ways, from as direct as getting out there and talking to people or giving the excellent presentation to a school board like Marilyn Teed did, or as indirect as things we've talked about, like writing on money or artwork or things where you don't even have to interact with another person if you don't want to do that. So there's so many things that people can do on an individual level, and it's what comes through my head every time people message me looking for some group or what's the next thing, what's the big thing or whatever. I feel like I don't know what it is, but I have a feeling like you're not doing your part, and that's why you're here like looking for it. I get a lot of messages like that, and I'm trying to find a way to respond.
That's what I meant also
Individual action.
Really happen.
Yep. It's
It's like
drowning in its own bullshit, the decadence, and the whole system. Yeah. So I would agree, and I think people are recognizing that they have to speak out and they have to stand up. Yeah.
I see a divide between people that are thinking that intelligence means memorizing and regurgitating whatever the education and mainstream media says, and then other people who, like ourselves, who think that intelligence is being skeptical and thinking for yourself and coming to your own conclusions, which is not encouraged by the mainstream media or the education system. And the people with the most letters after their names tend to be the ones that are least likely to come around to actually being skeptical of the information that gave them the letters after their names. So, because they already think they're smart. They were patted on the head and given a Masonic mortarboard and told that they were super intelligent for their 250 grand that they wasted on nonsense. Meanwhile, the other people are, happy to be skeptical of anything and everything, which is why they probably didn't waste money on that overpriced education in the first place. The flat Earth is a built-in revolution to the globe, because once they started lying, and actually once they completed lying to the world about it, as Del was saying, in that is the necessity, the inevitability that the lies will come crashing down and the revolution of truth will happen. So, and flat Earth is the biggest one and the easiest one to prove. So instead of harping on about any other conspiracy, really, I think flat Earth should be, in the army of truth, so to speak, the front people with the poles, and the shield, they should be the one right out there. Flat Earth is the main thing to get people on board to the fact that the whole world has been lied to on a massive scale. And then once they get on that, and you can prove it in your backyard today, unlike every other conspiracy in the world, which most of them are also true, and you can research those later once you realize that you are being lied to on a massive scale. But only then will you really get the open eyes. If you try to attack them with JFK and Operation Northwoods and the minor outlying conspiracies, you're not going to get somebody to really wake up to the fact of how bullshit their perceived reality actually is. Whereas flat Earth is the one. So I want to encourage people to have flat Earth be at the forefront of your truth.
It's the one
helping endeavors. The other issues should be peripheral, in the sense of trying to wake people up. I think this is the real wake-up call. Everything else is just kind of a little pinch.
So
the entire fields of astrophysics and astronomy as a study into looking at what we're living on is a complete straw man or red herring, because it has nothing to, because that's the visible, so to speak, where you're just looking at lights in the sky and trying to compare it to the tangibles that are right here on Earth that we can actually work with, the elements and actual physical things. And you see that especially with this like $10,000 baller challenge that Jade DeCaspi and I were doing, that everyone, 90% of the entries are appeal to sky fallacies. It's all the sky says this, therefore the Earth is curving.
Anyway,
unified individualism. If we're unified in the fact that we don't need some big group or some body or committee or Flatty Awards or Flat Earth conferences or whatever kind of thing to make progress, and that we're all responsible for individual progress and individual activism in our own lives, which apparently it's been working. People have been doing it. It's only been a few years and it's now the mainstream topic. So certainly everybody is doing a good job. Everybody should pat themselves on the back and not feel like we're in a slump or in a rut like a few people have been telling me, because we're absolutely not. We're, the snowball is picking up speed and picking up size. It's rolling down the mountain and it's never going back up. So just keep pushing it. Doing a great job at it, and don't despair. This is the grassroots movement. This is the revolution. I mean, if you really think about the repercussions of what will happen once this becomes 100% known throughout humanity, we're going to see positive change on the level that everybody would love to see, and it's going to happen through the vehicle of the flat Earth.
Yeah.
So we just got to keep at it.
Exactly, mate.
Totally. I totally agree too. That's snow.
Sorry, what was that?
There's going to be a big shift that day, because them thinking that they're in the majority is really what's keeping them there in the first place. It's their ego and thinking they know it all anyway. So that's why I encourage ridicule for these people, because the reason that they are so confident or whatever is because they think that they have the superior position of ridiculing you. But if you have the knowledge enough so that you can humorously ridicule people in a playful, nice way, that's going to bring them down and break down their ego and actually get them to think, maybe I have to research this, because I'm starting to get, I'm being the butt of the jokes now. Elisa had the upper hand, or Del really made me look stupid there, and shouldn't discount that. I mean, they do it to us. It
exactly.
works.
We have to play with those.
I recommend
if I get
disengaging. I recommend like soft disengaging with people like that, by a bit of ridicule. For instance, it sounds like you were really nice to him and really trying to help him, but he was going to have none of it. So you really just wasted your time and you wasted your emotions. If you knew right off the bat that he's ridiculing you anyway, my reaction to someone like that would just be like, well, have fun spinning on your stupid ball then, that kind of thing. Where instead of trying to get, telling him, well, you can go out to the sea and being all nice like that, just he's not even ready for your being nice. He's not being nice to you. If he's not showing you that kind of, that he's at least willing to look into it, then just laugh at him, and be playful about it too. There's a big difference between the kind of ridicule that is malignant or malicious, and the kind that is playful and actually funny and informative. And if people can do that latter one, it's super effective. You don't have to get your emotions involved. You don't waste any time, because a lot of this, we end up arguing with these people, and they don't do anything except for believe even more so the things that they thought, in the first place. It doesn't really get to these people that aren't looking into flat Earth because of their ego. You got to take their ego down a notch, is basically what I'm saying. So just laugh. If you can feel the energy that they're giving you is sarcastic and negative, and they're not really paying attention or listening to you, then by trying, being nice to them and explaining to them the research and everything, you're taking a victim role. They're looking at you like a predator and looking to pick you apart, and what the next negative thing they can say to you is. Instead of putting yourself in that position, just laugh at them. Don't even go down. They're not ready for you. Their ego's too big to even look at, to be skeptical. So laugh at them for being retarded, and then wait until they're actually ready to not, to be skeptical.
Exactly.
There's no "told you so" moment. Nobody wants to go back to the person or people that originally told them about it and just hang their head and give you the victory of like, Elisa, you were right. I don't think any flat earther has ever experienced that or ever will experience that, for the exact same reason that people don't want to look into it, because their ego's not going to let it happen. They're technically not proofs either. They're all just evidences. But I was copying the 100 proofs Earth is not a globe title that was used by Carpenter back in the day. And so I just went into 200 proofs, but it is a legitimate criticism that they aren't proofs, they're evidences.
Yeah, but at the same time, it is literally a book of endless proofs, because it shows you that proof is everywhere, So
right.
I let you off on that little point.
Several years ago, Rodney Clough, a hollow earther, did an expedition to the North Pole and was turned around by Russian military ships, allegedly. He did interviews saying so. And then you've got Jarl Anderhoy twice going down to the Antarctic and saying similar things. And so we know about the Arctic and Antarctic treaties and how they're guarded. So it seems like at the moment, full exploration is pretty much an impossibility. Though when we get to the point where everybody knows the Earth is flat due to word of mouth activism, full exploration is an inevitability.
Yeah.
So what we need to focus on now is still word of mouth activism and waking everybody up. the full exploration happens after everyone's awake. It's not the home run thing that awakens them, because we can't do it until everyone's awake. It's physically impossible.
And what's the point if the
Operation Realness on this international flat plane of existence. Oh, the scissors! Van Gogh! Van Gogh!
you don't even know if you want to even engage with that kind of thing, but
He's a bus driver.
ooh, one swept and interesting.
And he's not a Freemason, nor is anyone in my family, except for a second, a great uncle who married into the family, who I don't talk to and don't get along with.
Yeah. Do you get that as well? Apparently, because my mother.
Oh, I get that one all the time.
Well,
I had offered. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, sorry, mate. Where'd you go for that?
I had offered up the fact that there was this guy that's a Freemason in the family, and then the disinfo sites, they take it and run with it, and they say that now my dad and myself and I don't know how many people in my family are supposedly Freemasons now.
Eric Dell, Beyond the Magic of, what do you think of gyroscopes being used as evidence for flat Earth?
Yeah, absolutely. And artificial horizons, which are, a gyroscope it's not, artificial horizons aren't digital. They use a gyroscope, and so it wouldn't be possible for you to fly level over a globe without gaining altitude exponentially as time went on.
Yeah.
But no pilot ever in history has gained altitude simply by flying level. And yeah, the gyroscope absolutely proves that.
Yep, and no only
ability within us.
I never felt better since I left Australia, I tell you.
Upside down.
It doesn't exist. You were living in a non-place, so you should.
That's the other thing. That's the other part, yeah.
Eric, congratulations on your children's book. Do you think Disney might make a cartoon movie on it? Haha, imagine.
I hope not. It's full of pedophilic symbolism and whatnot, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd fuck that up if we left it to Disney. Don't let that happen, Eric.
Right.
Refuse all offers for making movies, please.
Exactly.
Well, it's like we were talking about at the beginning. The cat got out of the bag by accident, and now they're trying to controlled rollout, make it, distract, disinform, deter, and bring us anywhere but to the truth.
Yeah.
So that whole thing about PSYOP or controlled rollout, it's a yes and no. No, it wasn't originally. Of course, the Earth's absolutely flat and the globe's bullshit. So the PSYOP, the rolled out, is the globe, not the flat Earth.
Yeah.
But okay, once people are catching on to it, yeah, they're going to have to roll out some kind of controlled opposition narrative to corral everyone from exposing the truth. So yes, there is a controlled rollout within the flat Earth, but the flat Earth itself isn't. Of course not.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's what they're getting at. That's the whole point. They're saying, well, you're the shill, and you rolled it out, and you're the head whatever shill.
Right.
Eric's
You're coaching me apparently as well, Eric. You're on the phone. You're on the phone to me, telling me what to say. Oh, great one.
Oh, wonderful.
I heard that clip too, by the way. I'm pretty sure that was a clip of me from some other interview that was playing on your computer. It was whatever. That wasn't live. That was.
No, it was just
thing anyway.
It was just taken from one of your interviews and then fucking spliced over the top. Just lunacy.
Right. Yeah, it didn't. I don't even know if it happened the way they say it happened, or if he's the one that spliced it himself. But what I'm sure of is that the clip itself was an old clip. It wasn't something that happened at that time. But anyway, it's just more stupid accusation. I've never tried that, I must say.
You're supposed to be a skeptic, Eric. Come on.
I am skeptical of it. That's why I've never fucking tried it.
Try it live, Eric. Try it. I challenge you, Eric, to drink your own piss right in front of you.
Right. I don't think it's some miracle heal-all solution like the people that do it seem to think it is. At best, I think there may be certain topical, ways to use it, or maybe specific things like when you don't have a clean source of water, something like that. But as something that you should do as a daily practice, I really don't think that something as disgusting as that was necessitated by the intelligent designer to keep our system healthy, that we have to drink, a gross liquid that we oh no, it's not gross, it's your temple, it's purified. But no, I don't think it's necessary to be of optimal health. I think at best it's just maybe some medicinal remedial thing that you could do if you have certain issues. Gravity only likes salt water, maybe.
Right. Oh, great, Eric. How will we stop the potato crew? I'm just going to offer mine there. By stop giving them attention. If you disagree with somebody, don't give them any attention. But to continue to give them attention and then moan about it makes you an absolute moron. Yeah.
Oh, that hurt.
No,
That must have hurt. What the hell? People need it.
The potato who?
Exactly. I don't go and keep buying a faulty product if I don't like the fucking product. I just don't buy it. I don't need to go and blow up fucking Mazda or Ford just because I disagree with a product. I just don't buy the fucking thing.
Eric, I see there's some people
ignoring them into irrelevance would be my answer.
Eric, there's some people in the chat saying you need beefened up. That we should be giving you a fish supper. You're too skinny. Have you anything to comment on?
Yeah, I do. I'll let all those people know that I ate meat for most of my life, and I've never been meatier than this. This is the size I am at, regardless of what I eat or how much I eat. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm not this size because I'm a vegan. I'm this size because I'm Eric Dubay. I've tried. Adele and I talked about this before. We had a talk about lifting weights and eating different diets. I've tried every diet under the sun. I did the keto diet, the Atkins back in the day when they called it that. And I was eating low carb, high fat, 6 meals a day, and weightlifting, trying to put on weight, trying not to be the way that I am, and eating unhealthy and lifting weights every day. I managed to put on 15 pounds, which you could barely notice in the mirror. It didn't even look like I'd put on any weight. And I ended up getting tonsillitis from, I figure, from all the things I was eating. My throat clenched up to the point that I couldn't swallow anything that wasn't liquid for over a week because of tonsillitis. And previous to that, I'd been eating 6 meals a day of meat and eggs and dairy and just anything I could, protein, getting my protein, trying to bulk up, get some mass. And like I said, after a year of weightlifting and bulking up, I got 15 pounds. And then after a couple of weeks of tonsillitis, I lost the 15 pounds. and I lost all will to even bother trying to put on mass again, because I know how, it's an unhealthy process to do it in the first place. And it doesn't really change my aesthetics in any way. I'm just a skinny, lanky dude, and I'll be that way regardless of what or how much I eat.
I think the size.
Yeah, get a bunch of money for a stupid experiment that at best will prove the globe because of it, like you said, the catenary curve. When you pull a line taut like that, before it will become perfectly taut. So it will always have a droop, which will confirm a curve. So you've got these, what was it, FE Core or Globebusters or whoever's trying to get money for this experiment, which is going to prove the opposite. So again, look at who's trying to take your money and for what. And is that a genuine thing that they're doing? And if not, well, red flag, take note. Why haven't we felt these wobbles that we're creating, right? Humans are we're making the earth wobble more. Why aren't we feeling that? And the other thing, what's it called? Uniform circular is a physical property that states that acceleration motion in a circle is constant acceleration. So when people say that you wouldn't feel the motion because it's constant velocity and you only feel acceleration or deceleration, well, motion in a circle, around a sphere would be constantly accelerating. So we should feel it, just like if you were on a merry-go-round, you can feel that. So it's not a valid excuse for them to say that, oh, it's a constant, it's such a perfect constant velocity that nobody in history has ever felt the slightest, westward breeze, but we can feel, a 1 mile per hour eastward one, no problem.
Dale, can you ask Eric his thoughts that air pressure could be evidence of an enclosed system?
Yeah, as well as, water. I mean, water and air pressure do attest to the fact that we're most likely in an enclosed system.
Yep.
I would.
Anybody like
the
to
old
go
hologram,
first?
the old hologram moon, the old hologram moon speculation. I tend to think the luminaries are all natural products of, just like the Earth is here naturally. I don't think the Earth is being projected by holographic technology underneath us, and I don't think anything in the sky is either. I think it's all just natural, reality. I highly doubt that there's some huge scheme large enough and technological enough to project stars and moon, sun, and if that's what they're getting at, I assume that's what they mean.
I think
Well, let's sort out where we are first.
We don't exactly. We don't know anything about the lights in the sky, so why make up implausible theories about them coming from technology underneath us? How about just not knowing and being cool with that?
Exactly.
No, we need ridiculous theories, and we need to put them and debate them and all this. Yeah, but maybe it's true, Dell. There is technology underneath the Earth that projects, and if you don't admit that that's maybe true, then you might be a gatekeeper, shill, and you're not allowing this truth out. So, yeah.
Exactly. That was the point I was just going to make. Well said.
Yeah, there's a difference between not speaking publicly and privately. I'm sure he's still privately a flat earther and speaks with people about it in his private life. He just doesn't have a YouTube channel and a public presence because, if I remember right, the reason he's not doing that is because he was given an ultimatum by his job that if he continued, that he would be out of a job. So, makes sense that he would have stopped, and that's if he's got a family to take care of and whatnot. And I'm sure in his own way he'd continue personal activism privately.
Yeah. I'm not seeing any other questions. Do you have any thoughts on comments on lava? Can stones melt into liquid form?
Not sure what that has to do with flat Earth. People bring up volcanoes and the plate tectonics and earthquakes all the time and ask me, how do those work on flat Earth? To which I always say, however, earthquakes, plate tectonics, lava, everything works on a Earth with curvature.
Yeah.
They work exactly the same on an Earth without curvature. It doesn't require a special explanation just because the Earth doesn't curve. All these things are exactly however they would have been otherwise, but they think that it's so different now because the shape's changed. So we need this whole new science or whatever to explain how earthquakes can happen and volcanoes because of the molten core. The lava is coming straight from the molten core up through the volcano. I think that's what they think. And then they're like, so if there's no molten core, how do we get volcanoes?
Exactly. It's amazing the amount of red herring.
I think people also forget that asking someone for an explanation isn't an argument. Anytime these globe cult people, they get backed into a corner, they go, well, explain this then. Explain that then. I don't need to explain. That's not an argument. Exactly. You want me to teach you? Shut up. I've been teaching you, but you've been arguing. Suddenly you want me to explain stuff? It's not to work. And if you can't answer that question, you're wrong about the flat Earth, right?
No. The thing if they get you on a gotcha moment that you...
Does anybody really need money to do activism? Is it that difficult?
I know.
Is that what we need to donate money to a bunch of people?
Exactly, mate.
Everybody's trying to come up. See, you notice it with the questions is everyone wants that one home run flat Earth proof, and they're willing to donate money to anyone willing to ask for it and do that one thing. Oh, it's a torque the line. Oh, it's yet another balloon, or whatever the heck it is. And then the people that are donating the money more than likely aren't doing something else, productive. most people that give to charities, the reason they give to charity is to relieve themselves of the guilt of not, helping the world or whatever. So they just give a little bit of money to some charity and they're like, okay, done with that, which is what I think most of the people that would donate to any of these flat earth causes are doing. So instead of actually being active and doing your part, like we've been talking about this whole time, about individual activism and talking to everybody you know and making it your mission, being like a flat earth missionary, if you were doing that, I doubt you'd be like checking out like, oh, Anthony Riley's got a new GoFundMe. What's his experiment? I honestly didn't even know. If he's the guy I think of, he calls me a shill and makes videos about square earth and shit. So no, I'm definitely.
I'll be donating. I'll go.
I learned my lesson the hard way too. The only time I ever donated to a flat earther, I gave $200 to Jaronism, for a video of his laser experiment, which he needed after he got the donation for the laser, and he promised to do a test run first so that he wouldn't waste the video money, and he didn't do the test run, and so he had the videographer come, wasted the money, messed up the laser experiment, and he said he would pay me back too, and 3-4 years later that's never happened either. But not that I care, but I did learn a valuable lesson that I hope everybody else can learn, is don't donate to Jaron or anyone else for their home run experiments that aren't doing anything. As Dell says, we got the water, it's an abundant element that proves beyond any shadow of a doubt what we're living on here. So why are we looking for these home run proofs, and why are we spending all this money going after them when the proofs are already there? That's not what we need. We need to spread the word.
Exactly.
I'm able to travel abroad, though I'm weary of doing so, crossing borders and whatnot, as well as we're meeting people, and I get regular death threats, so I don't fancy doing any sort of pre-scheduled event where it's known that I'll be attending, so that some spooks can come and find out more about my life or whatever, and try to make it more of a living hell.
But
again,
the honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody can do meetups or conferences or anything that they expect me to do. I'll let you know that I'm pretty busy. I have no lack of ideas or stuff that I'm doing. Like, but I tend to think the people that bring the ideas to me probably done less for the flat Earth than me, and so I recommend that they go ahead and do that idea that they brought to me. Yeah, that's it. He's the one that sets up
all the
Flat Earth.
conferences, right?
Yes, he sets up the Flat Earth International conferences. So he's part of that whole potato crew.
So.
Well, it's 2 o'clock in the morning here in Thailand, so speaking for myself, I think I'll be wrapping it up.
Yeah, me too, Eric. I was just about to say the exact same thing. I was just careful.
Yeah, it's great hearing from him. Good talking to you again, Del, Elisa, Gab.
Yeah, so I've enjoyed.
A pleasure having you here. So.
Right on. Yeah, thanks for setting this up, and thanks for doing your weekly hangout, Del. It really helps have a consistency, and you bring everything back to that same fundamental message. I think you're a real asset to the community. Appreciate everything you're doing.
Cheers, mate.